सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Reshma, you have a question?
Yes. So, in one of the previous classes, we discussed the story, like the brother thinks about his sister who's in trouble and thinks of sending her that money. And then eventually, by the time he actually gets to it, a lot changes. So, in this situation, this is like the first thought that came could probably be like that was the mind, right? Like, person got emotional, really wanted to help. And then maybe the intellect intervened and they were able to see better. So, isn't it a good thing if our first thought is interrupted by another thought and we can actually think over it?
It depends, like everything else. I'm sorry. You will think I know only one answer, which is it depends. It all depends. Now, for a person, do you remember that Niti Shatakam verse which we have done that speaks about when what? Like valor in war, forgiveness in peace, in success, humility, that one. So there are many, many good qualities in the world, but these good qualities are good qualities. No, we didn't do Niti Shatkam, but it's a verse often quoted. So no, we haven't done it. But it's just a verse that always comes to mind because of this. Um, I don't know, it seems so relevant at all times. So every quality is a quality only in a context. Suppose you go to war and you are forgiving, then you're doing something extremely stupid, right? If you're in a competition and you say "pele up," you're being quite silly. So every quality is a quality only to the extent that you know where it is applicable. So when you are a selfish, self-centered person, it is good to feel the emotion and immediately give. When you are a noble, charitable person, your mind is longing to give, then it is good to have a filter. You cannot have that filter in the beginning because you will just use that filter like a selfish thing. Exactly how that boy did. He just had a good thought, okay, just a good thought. And then all his analysis is nothing but the mind overruling the goodness and going with the badness. There is no intellect playing over there because intellect playing over there will consider the need that is currently there. That's not what he's considering. What he's considering is, oh my God, have I got to give so much money to his own sister and his own mother? So, no, it's not correct in that context. In fact, that is the role of the intellect to tell you which quality to use when. And this is an area where we often falter. We use the wrong quality at the wrong time. I think in the new book, there is something about this. Momita, you will know, right? Something about what, when. When is it? I think maybe it's in part 3. So is that okay, Reshma? So in that context, it wasn't the intellect at all. It was just his mind, which first had a noble thought and then had very many selfish thoughts. Just because you are contradicting yourself doesn't mean make it the intellect. Intellect means collection of data, analysis of that data, uh, complete objectivity. All these things is what intellect involves. Just because my mind says, oh, one day I'll be vegetarian, one day I'll be non-vegetarian, doesn't mean my intellect is functioning.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Was this, I missed the story. Was it discussed last time? Is it from this book, or I didn't get the context of the story?
Okay, so I cannot even remember which book it was in. It was in maybe Sense and Sensibility. I can't remember where, but the father passes away, and the daughter and the mother are left sort of um, without any support. They've reached quite a pecunious circumstance. So the brother, who's very well to do, thinks, oh, my father has passed away. My sister and mother have nowhere to go. First, he thinks of calling them home. Then he finds reasons why he shouldn't call them home. Then he says, no, I will just settle 10,000 pounds on them. Okay, which is a fairly good sum for them to live in those times. And then as the night progresses, he keeps saying, what will my mother and wife and sister do with this kind of money? He's a wealthy person. And at the end, I think he sends them like 10 pounds or some ridiculous amount like that. So he keeps thinking about it and thinking about it till his good intention is completely killed and all his selfishness has come to the surface. So it's a
I would
very
give an example for overthinking.
yes,
Overthinking.
overthinking. It may not be overthinking. It is just your selfishness coming through and you not being able to identify it. Overthinking sometimes is just you are get confusing yourself. Confused. He knows fully well that he has to protect his money and not give anything to his mother. So he's not overthinking in the sense we use it. Okay, Momita. Sense and sensibility. No, yeah, see, I told you. Okay, I got that right.
Thank you.
And Janki, in this example, initially he had noble thought and then he was having selfish thoughts, which are also coming from the mind itself.
Both thoughts came from the mind.
Both thoughts came from the mind. Even though he's analyzing, but still they were from mind.
That analysis is like the chick analyzing.
Okay. So sometimes we think that we are analyzing, and then I think means we are using our intellect, but on the contrary, it is the mind itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 9 out of 10 times when we think we are analyzing, it's just the mind.
So how to check? It's in the other case we can realize, we can understand that, but how to cross-check our thoughts?
Well, you have to have some basic principles on which to function, and the most valid one is your goal. What are you trying to achieve? Then if you think like that, then you are able to put away your personal preferences and deal with the situation. You have to think that what exactly am I trying to achieve, and then do whatever you have and be honest, this is what I'm trying to achieve, and then figure out the best possible way of achieving it.
Right. Even at the relative level, contextually, we have to see what we are trying to achieve, and at the absolute level, what is our
Yeah,
ultimate
but
goal?
this is nothing to do with the absolute level. In that only, what are you trying to do? When somebody comes and asks you for money, let us say, for argument's sake, and you're listening to the person, you think, okay, let me give 10,000 rupees. And then that becomes 5, that becomes 2, that becomes chalo 1,000 se kam chal jayega. Okay, so it's going on in your mind like that. So you have to stop and ask yourself, what is it I'm trying to achieve? So once you start being stern like that, then your real motivation comes out. Then you say, oh, I'm trying not to give any money to this person, or I'm trying to help this person, whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So if I'm trying to help this person, what is the best way I can help the person? So then it may turn out, once you think like that, that you don't need to give the money, you have to do something else. That's a possibility too. But now what you're trying to do is clear to you. Make sense?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Mamita.
Hariom Janki ji, I have a question. Can I ask?
Yeah, 1 second, Ganesh. Ashya has put something here. The first thought, which was of charity, was that not of the intellect. No. You are behaving as if the mind cannot have good thoughts. The mind is quite capable of having good thoughts. Just because it's a good thought doesn't mean it is the intellect. Intellect it's a different. It's not just a thought. It is the effort, the clarity, the objectivity. All those things have to be involved as well. Just being good doesn't make it intellect. Okay, Ashya? Yes, Ganesh.
Hariom Janki ji. So we have this 10 moving parts of happiness, right? And after that, we told that if we focus on cause and effect, if we do the right things, we will be happy. Am I right in that statement?
Uh, I don't know. I don't know what this sentence means, frankly. So I'm going to wait and listen to what is the rest of
So,
what you're going to
like for instance, you take care of your health, you take care of your finances, you take care of every aspect of life,
say.
there is a possibility that you will be happy.
No, we are doing dependent and independent happiness, right? So
Hmm.
if we are talking in that context, then becoming happy has to eventually be divorced from what happens.
Okay. Hmm. Okay.
Things may work our way and things may not work our way, but I mean, I have to be divorced from that, right? So if I have to be divorced from that, I need something else to keep me happy.
Hmm. Okay.
So what will that other thing be? The other thing will be your goal, your your the, your I can your in the Upanishad they call it kruta krutascha. That means you're just satisfied with what you've done. You know you've done all you can and you're satisfied with it.
Okay. Okay, Anand. So why I asked this question is, I think someone asked a question to Swamiji that I have all my health parameters right, but I get anxious about every single thing, right? A slight up and down, which is bound to happen. So Swamiji told, "Do you want to live till 200 years?" I mean, but I understand what you are trying to say. That our goal is to become independent.
Finally, yes. So
Okay.
how do you do that? Just ensure that you're doing everything that according to you is the right thing to be done.
Okay, that's
And
it.
the satisfaction of that is something amazing. I mean, if
Hmm.
it's not expressible, what is the satisfaction?
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, you have to give yourself, you went, you played badminton, you thought you should be playing badminton every whatever period you have kept for yourself, and you've gone and played it.
Hmm.
You're satisfied, right? You enjoyed the game, you're
Hmm.
satisfied with it.
Understood.
Now, some of those games you may have won, some of those you may have lost. The fact that you were there, the fact that you did it, winning, losing, all immaterial. You just enjoyed the game.
Hmm. Understood, ma'am. So understood. Thank you.
Prashant?
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. So, I mean, following up on what we were discussing earlier, that there is thoughts largely reside in mind, and then there could be some thoughts which you could rationalize within the intellect. Now, the question is a little bit in context to communication, right? The ethos, pathos, logos sort of concept. So how I understand it is, um, they say that for an impactful communication, you should start with the ethos, which kind of closely relates to the Atman. Then you should move on to the logic, which is the logos, and then you should appeal to the emotion, which is the mind. The thing that I'm confused with is, uh, some of the feelings are actually very close to the Atman. You see where I'm coming from? So the intellect is there in between the mind and the Atman. How do we? I mean, how do we propel an action basically from the communication? Is
From
the
the
from the communication? How do we compel an action basically from the communication? So should the order be Atman and then intellect and then mind, or the ethos or the ethics and then the logic and then the emotion? Or should the logic, or should the order be the ethics and then the emotion and then the logic? Sorry, I'm confused.
Okay, so I don't know why communication you have brought up, but I'm going to take communication as any action. Okay, in the communication means speech, so I'll take any action because Vedanta loves to generalize like that. If you use speech, it means action.
Yeah.
All right, so now how should it go? When you say Atman comes first, what does that mean? It means that the goal of this speech is Atman. And therefore, you are remembering the Atman. You know that what makes me speak is Atman. What I'm going to try and achieve through this speech is reaching Atman. So that's what it means that Atman comes first. Nah, okay, so this is good. Now, next step has to be the logic. What is it that will most fit this perspective, this goal of mine, or this ethics, as you're calling it? What most will fit it? Okay, how shall I now talk to you in such a way that I will reach the Atman by talking to you? Right? So the answer to that is obviously self-purification, because the only way I can reach Atman is self-purification. There's no other way to do this. So therefore, my conduct with you has to be such that I have to be purify myself. So how will that conduct be? Now your emotions will come in, your good feelings, your good whatever, anything pure in you has to lead that. Right? Now, when something pure, now if you misunderstand this, what happens is when something pure in you makes you act in some way, sometimes it's not a purity, but our wish for purity, let us say. So, what happens is that action is a stupid action. This is a very common thing. So, I'm all like, oh my God, I have to be good to you. It's all regardless of you as an individual. Now, for me to be good to you, I need to know you. I cannot in vacuum be good to you. So, what action I perform which will be beneficial to you has to start with who are you? So, it is about you, it is not about me and me trying to be so good. So, many spiritual people fail at that because it just all becomes about them and not they seem to lose track of the fact that there is an objective reality around them, right?
Yeah.
So I have to take this focus away from myself. I see this all the time in spiritual sadhaks. They're all about, I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to do this. I am this and I am that. No, that I has got to be there to recognize that. So how does it go? It starts. So now it's not always easy to do it from the Atman, in the sense, I know that I am the Atman. The Atman enables me to do this. By doing this, I have to reach the Atman. All this is a fairly tough thing to do. Therefore, it makes sense for us to start with a more relative goal. And once I'm able to be objective with reference to that goal, let's suppose you're talking to your wife. Your wife says something, you're married, I assume, right? If you're talking to your wife, she has said, what are you doing? You haven't taken the garbage out yet. Do you think I have to do all the work around here? Right? So she's mad at you because you haven't taken out the garbage, or because she's mad at somebody else, or because she is overworked, whatever her stories in life are. So she's mad at you and she's being rude to you. Now what? Now you're about to open your mouth and speak. You have to stop you and ask yourself the question, what is it you're trying to do? Are you trying to defend yourself? Are you trying to be sensitive to her? What is it you're trying to do? And once you figure out what it is you're trying to do, okay, you may say, I'm trying to just demolish her, and how dare she speaks to me like that. Whatever you are trying to do.
Yeah. And that's why you say that. Sorry.
So once you figure it out, then you have to think, what is it that I can do now, which will most likely fit my purpose?
Yeah.
Am I trying
So can I
build the relationship? Am I trying to break the relationship? What am I trying to do?
So can I translate that back to what you started with? So the end goal is to reach Atman. At the Atman level, we are all one, right? So there is no intention to break the relationship, and we are actually looking to that. So that's a noble cause that generates out of Atman.
That's not true. If you're talking from Atman, there is no question of a relationship.
Yes,
so
yes.
You and the other person are one. What relationship?
Yes. So to address that, I'll first point my attention to the Atman, the commonness basically between us. Then we'll move on to addressing the core that is kind of touched, which is the anger that is coming at this point. So which is the frustration that is coming. And then I'll put in the logic from the intellect to say, what is it basically that we can do to address the frustration? Because it is some expectation not met. So I'll put in my action as well to kind of meet that expectation.
And you don't need to act immediately.
Yeah.
There is no cause. All the time we seem to think that there is some need for immediate reaction. No. You have to always remember that I don't need to you don't have to tell me when I speak, right? I can take that call myself. Because you have behaved in a certain way, there's no reason why I have to speak. If you feel, oh my God, that person said this to me, I have to go for it. Relax. So whether you act or not, whether you speak or not, that's where your intellect filters. So even if you say you and I are one, let me see my commonness, maybe this is not the time to see commonness. Right? It's your wife, it may be different, but maybe at a stage you have to fire the other person. How dare you talk to me like that? So they're not seeing commonness. You have to deal with the person in front of you.
And that's what the sense and the chapter from Niti Shatkam that you were referring to understand basically what is the appropriate action.
That's right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Chapter, no, it's just a verse. He just says it and he goes off. Then you have to figure out yourself, what is he talking about? That is the thing about Vedantins. They just make their statements. Now you spend 1 year figuring out what on earth they're talking about.
I've noted it down as to where to point it, and I'll put some time to understand.
Yeah. Please read it. It's a beautiful verse. I mean, it's so good, and I'm sure he himself thought was very good because he sells it multiple times in the text itself. That's
Is
where,
it from Bhartari?
yes,
Is it
but
from Bhartari?
yes,
Oh, okay. So he wrote Niti Shatkam as well. All right.
yes. He wrote three. He wrote
Yes.
Vairagya Shatakam, which is obviously fantastic. Niti
Yeah.
Shatakam, which is how to live properly in this world,
And
and
Shringar Shatakam.
Shringara
I
Shatakam.
heard I heard about two, but this is the first time I'm hearing about
Oh, is that so? Interesting. There are three of them. There are no more for you to hear. Don't worry. Three of them.
Thank you.
But anyway, you don't need to go and read everything everywhere. It's not necessary. You need to study one book thoroughly. Choose your book and study it thoroughly. And it will tell you everything you need to know. And once it has told you everything that it is capable of telling you, then you go to another.
Yeah. Treaties.
Yes, treaties. That's the one.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so coming back, anyone else has anything? Oh, okay, Deepak Sethi. You're muted.
You're
actually.
muted.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad I was making gestures so you could make out that it was mute. Yeah, I was saying that this introduction of the mind-led intellect working, which means it's really being controlled by the mind, is a big joker in the pack, and therefore can tend to confuse, because so far it was very easy. Mind is impulsive, knee-jerk. So I could say, was my choice knee-jerk or not? Huh? Now when the mind takes over and the intellect goes through this kind of reasoning, which is quite sound by itself, yeah, except that some starting assumption in the beginning is wrong, and because that was emotion-led, it kind of leads you to believing, as was being said by Taruna and others, that I'm doing analysis, it's my intellect working, but it's actually not so. And we want to avoid that situation. Okay. So the question is, how, meaning, what are the tests that one can kind of carry out, having done this kind of analysis, to say that, listen, was this objective intellect acting, or was it emotion corrupted intellect acting? How can one make that distinction? If you can give us some ways to figure that out, because this is a very practical thing, which we will come across and have been coming across and have been dealing with it in our own ways.
Okay, so first thing is always to remember that this can happen. That is your first thing. Second thing to remember is I can't always prevent it. I'm sorry for all these disappointing answers. But first, it can happen. Second, I can prevent it. And therefore, third, humility. Just humility.
Sorry, a little louder.
Humility.
Humility.
We are so caught up in thinking that I can deal with it. No, I can't. This is all beyond me. Therefore, I start every single Vedanta class for the last 10,000 years in this country with the words, oh, please don't do that. You have been hearing it for years. For the whole class with the words. Please tell me in English. Don't tell me in Sanskrit.
May He protect us.
May He protect us both. May He protect us both. It is the most, when I first heard it, I thought this is the most, I would not like to say what I thought. I thought, like, how? First, you tell me that it's all my work, it's all my karma, I have to get it right, blah, blah, blah. And I starting the class by saying, May he protect us? What protection is he going to give me? If I do stupid things, who's going to protect me? I have to protect myself. The buck stops here. This is what Vedanta says. Now, where is the question of him protecting me? And so we come back to our favorite verse from Niti Shatakam. I can't even say favorite because there's so many beautiful verses, but today's highlighted verse. What when? What when? When I leave it to God, this is my tamas. When I take it upon myself, this is my rajas. When I do all I can, knowing that I'm a finite being after all. It's sattva. So what? I have so many problems in the external world that I may not be able to deal with. So similarly, I have many problems within me that I may not be able to deal with. May he protect us. So there is no certainty. This is the big thing about knowledge. We are always looking for certainty. We're always thinking that, okay, a little bit more, and then I'm going to get this whole thing. No, you're not. Karman ki gati nyari. Sab nadiya jal bhari bhari rahiyo. Sagar ki vidhi khari. Karma is a very ki gati nyari. I mean, it's not really comprehensible. Sab nadiya jal bhari bhari rahiyo. All the waters of all the sweet rivers are filling into the ocean. Sagar ki vidhi khari. The ocean continues to be salty. Can you put so many millions of tons of water, sweet water, and that continues to be khari? So the moral of the story is not that I'm going to come up with some good ways of ensuring that it will never happen, that my intellect is subservient to my mind and I will not know this. In fact, it's a good assumption on our part if we make it that my intellect is subservient to mine. It's a good assumption to make. And therefore, out of that humility of understanding, you're very open to listening to others. Because when your own intellect is not able to handle it, at least someone is there to say, you're such an idiot. And I think that marriage is one of the best ways of ensuring that your intellect works. Because there will always be someone around to tell you, you're such an idiot. There's a very funny thing by Mahendra Dhoni. I don't know whether you have heard it. It's a very funny little clip that is going around, where he says, look, you may be captain of Indian cricket team or you may not be. घर में आपकी जगह एक ही है. So you can be anywhere in the world. You can be whatever in the world you want. घर में आकर सब सीधे हो जाते हैं. So it's a great thing. I mean, one of the greatest uses of marriage is our own self-purification. You have put somebody you are equal. Now this person can say anything and do anything, and you have to bear the consequences of this thing. It's a great lesson in humility if we ever learn it. We don't. We pick out our talwar and go for it. So if you have now people accept that men and women are equal, and now your spouse is free to say anything to you. Yes, Mamita, parenting also. Now children are also free to say anything to you. And they will abuse that right. Don't forget that. They are not some saints from outer space. They will abuse that right. You have no certainty to know whether what they are saying is correct or not, but have the humility to listen. So, sorry to give you such horrible answers, but this is a fact. What can I do? Point number 1. Okay, anyone remembers points?
This can happen.
This can happen. And mostly happens. Know this.
Janki-ji, sorry, I missed. What is sattva, you said? Because I didn't get that.
Okay, sattva, tamas is when You leave everything to God. Raja
Yes.
is the ego that says, I do everything.
Right.
Sattva is, I do everything and leave it to God. I'm doing
Okay.
all I can. That I am not leaving anything undone. However, the results of this, that I leave to God.
Actually, what does it mean here to say, I leave it to God? Meaning, what are we really saying in that statement?
I'm not interested in the results. I'm not dependent on whether these results come. I am doing what I know right. Now, suppose we try to build a university. Now, building a university is a crazy idea. You never know, is this thing even going to come up? You don't know this. You don't know if anything can be done. By the way, on Monday, we are going for the final registration of the plot. So far, you never know. There is so much, so much going on. It's a full drama and soap opera that goes on over here. So we are going. Now, how do we know that we will set up a university? Having set up the university, how do we know it will achieve the goals that it's supposed to achieve? How do you know anything? You don't know anything. You're working in complete, to get this land, you're working in complete ignorance. Forget university and all the bahut dur ki cheez. It's complete ignorance. No, not only you are ignorant, everybody else is ignorant. It doesn't seem like anybody knows anything. And yet we are going ahead, taking all the precautions we can, doing everything we can. We cannot afford to make a mistake in this thing, one mistake here, and now you live with it for 300 years. What can you say? What certainty do you have? So you can only assure one thing. And what is the one thing you can assure?
Right action, right process.
You do all you can. Just do all you can. Right action, right process, right intention, right team, right everything. That's all you can do. What else can you do? Don't do anything. So you just do it. That's it.
Yeah, thank
Be
you.
Mikey. So sorry, it's not like I thought you probably will expect me to give you a checklist of what to do. The thing is, this is a realm of ignorance. There's not much you can do except remember the possibility.
No, to be very frank with you, yes, a little bit of checklist would have helped, but this perspective is very, very useful. So I'm saying this plus that would be ideal because we can process it through what you have just said, that I can't prevent it, it's bound to happen. There is no perfect action. I have to focus on what I can do. So far, good. And that perspective is the foundation. Yet in operational things, if one could kind of say, this is the way to catch it so that I minimize it. I know I can't eliminate it, but my idea is to minimize it. So if there were some hacks to minimize it, that would have been a bonus, but we'll be content with this per se to begin with.
Well, the only thing is your goal. There is nothing else. It is your only Maha Mantra. If you can keep your goal going all the time, you are less and less likely to do it. But you have to be extremely clear about the goal. And the problem is people aren't. The goal itself is always a thing. So even if you say goal, the goal hasn't been fixed. Now somebody's being rude to you. Is it your time to strike back? Is it your time to withdraw? It has to be determined by the goal itself, what you're trying to do. And that is really your only yardstick. But frankly, beyond a point, you cannot control. So it all boils down to just doing what you can. And staying humble, that's the very important thing. Why do you think the qualities of the jnani begin with humility? Because control is a large part of the jnani's behavior in life. The jnani thinks that he can control it. But no, humility, it is not. Things are far too many and far too unpredictable. So don't say, I will do it, I will achieve it. Forget it. You can't guarantee achievement. You can guarantee work. You can guarantee processes. You can do all this. Can't guarantee achievement. I mean, till today, okay, today's Friday, Monday we have to go and pay for the land and finally take possession. Can I guarantee this will happen on Monday? Everything is fixed, everything is done. Can I guarantee? No. Who knows?
You can't guarantee, but you still have to put your efforts to do your best that it happens. And then if it doesn't, then you process it in a way, yeah.
Yeah, and then if it doesn't mean if Monday goes by and it wasn't done, that is not the end of the road. You get another chance too. It's not like this is it now. If you didn't get it by Monday, something will happen. No. Not Monday, Tuesday. Not Tuesday, next month. Not next month, next year. If I keep at it, it has to happen. It will happen. I have to keep at it. Okay, so what are y'all all saying over here? Let me see. Let's trouble with this. Okay, why is it not going on? Yes, Mamita, parenting correct, Prashant. Yes. The trick is always in, yes, correct, Prashant. The trick is always in, am I doing my best? That also can become an obsession, or we can be very complacent. Yes, I am doing my best. No, if you're doing your best, show the result. It's sort of both ways. Don't tell me you're doing my best. I'm doing my best, but no result is coming. No, please. That's complacency. And then you say, I am doing my best and I'm going to get it. Chill. So yeah, so this doing my best also. Everything is layered. What can I do? I don't want to frustrate you all, but what can I say if I have to tell you the truth? I have to say this. Yes, Samta, it is Samas Rajas Sattva is one of the most useful tools in communicating this. And this is just a very small aspect of it. There's like a whole world. If you're going to, if it interests you, then I don't know if you do the Bhagavad Gita class, but we are doing it from Sunday, all about Tamas Rajas Sattva. Not all about it, but a large part. And then we go.
Timing is the issue because it's
Yes,
like midnight here. I would love to. I see the recordings, which are there, but again, it's chapter 9th onwards only it starts. The first first 7 chapters are missing the YouTube recording. So I wish even for treaties and stuff, some way we can go back and I know whenever your time allows, that way, whoever's starting new journey, they have a complete explanation because I follow along with those books, the treaties, I bought the books, but I'm missing that your vision of YouTube because when I read myself, I like to read and then listen to your video and reflect upon it. So
don't worry, once we finish the book, we start again. We are like a broken record.
Okay, so next time around, we can probably look at a time that will be feasible, both India, America, something like that. Okay, thank you so much. That's a good thing to know.
Yes, it always goes on like a broken record. Don't worry, everything goes round and comes around. Okay, so now let's see. Shall we start? Okay, so very important aspect of happiness is the concept of dependent and independent happiness. So what is dependent happiness? When things happen the way I want it to happen, and then I am happy. This is called dependent happiness. When I'm happy, full stop. This is called independent happiness. Now, to be happy like that is not a joke. It's not like, okay, you are agitating me. I'm going to do pranayama or I'm going to do meditation and then I'm going to feel very happy. It's not like that. You can't force happiness on yourself. happiness is something you grow into. You have to know the technique of growing into that. Not superimposing it upon myself. Oh, you people are all troubling me. I'm going to go to an ashram and stay. No, you'll feel just as agitated in the ashram as you were feeling here. And so many people come to ashrams and all, and then they say, oh, that place is not so good. They stay for a little while and then they say, no, it wasn't as I thought it would be. Those people are all petty and they're all mean and they're all this and they're all that. And you could be right. Maybe they are petty and maybe they are mean and maybe all this is true. But hello, that's not what you went to the ashram for. You went there to learn how to be happy in spite of the way people are. That's what you went for. Why are you forgetting what you went there for? Your only question is, am I learning this here or am I not learning this? Who is mean, who is petty, who is not doing enough work is none of my business. Goal, 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 always goal. It is the Maha Mantra. In fact, that's what the word mantra means. When you are chanting a mantra, why are you given that particular mantra? What does the word mantra mean? Mantra means mana prayate iti mantra. That which protects your mind is your mantra. So what protects our mind is the goal. You have a mantra means you are remembering your goal. This is in the context of Vedanta. So if the goal was always the self, so that mantra spoke about the self. Why is all of this so difficult to understand? It's amazing how we can take something true, put it in a false context, and somehow create confusion. This is a peculiar human trait. Humans are particularly good at taking something which is good and doing something to it to make it bad. Take a potato, it's a good, nice, humble vegetable, no problem. But what will you do with it? You slice it thin and you put it into hot boiling oil and don't leave it until it becomes wet for you. This is normal human behavior. Take a body, add alcohol. Yes, everything. Even alcohol is good for you. If you have what they say nowadays, if you have, I don't know, I haven't tried it, but some studies say that resveratrol, if I'm pronouncing this correctly, is very good for you. So people have wine, so they have plenty of resveratrol in that. So very good, have your wine, but no, will you have it? You will have it till it's bad for you. Very nice to get married. What's wrong with marriage? Very nice, get married. But you will act in it till it's bad for you. Money is very nice. Why is money bad? It's a very good thing to have. But you will deal with it in such a way that it is bad for you. So it's a peculiar human trait to take something good and somehow create a mess out of it. And so we take this whole concept of having a mantra. See, mantra is what that is with you all the time, right? Mantra is something that naam smaran hota hai. You remember it, it's always there. Some people carry the rosary and they go on doing this even as they are walking on the street. But what is it for? Are you remembering your goal with it? Or is it just like, oh, man ki shanti milti hai aise karne se? Then this man ki shanti will go in some time. And then you'll be bored and say, kuch nahi hota. Of course, kuch nahi hota. What did you think will happen? If you keep on chanting your mantra like that, just go on Hare Ram, Hare, whatever, Om Namah Shiva, whatever you do. You keep chanting it. What is the cause and effect relationship? You will develop good throat muscles. Your vocal cords will develop. This is what will happen. But remember your goal and that will keep you safe. And that is what mantra means. So, when we have independent happiness, when we're not going here to there and trying to make everything the way we want it to be and then I'm going to be happy. What happens? You buy a house also, you want to make it perfect for yourself, and then you want to go in there and enjoy it. And then you buy the house and you make it perfect for yourself, and you go there and you start enjoying it. Now the neighbor above you was also got the same idea. So he starts doing tuck, 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 tuck. And though everything is perfect in your house, that guy is making such a racket. I paid a fortune for this house, and how dare he do it? And how can he be allowed to do it? Hello. Your house became perfect for you because you just did that, didn't you? Well, why won't he do that? He cannot time his wanting to make a perfect house with you. At the same time, his banging is going on and your banging is going on. Then somebody else's will start. How is this possible? That is why it's called the moving parts. You never know what is not going to work. How is it possible to hold every factor in place? It's just impossible. So that is why tolerance, titiksha, these are all considered good qualities, because if you don't have them, there's no chance of being happy. Something or the other will bother you. You go to Starbucks to drink your favorite coffee. Not that I'm advertising Starbucks, but suppose you think it's very good coffee and you go there to have coffee and you get your coffee, which is absolutely perfect, then it may fall on you and burn you. Or you're drinking it and somebody at the next table is doing something silly. Like, how? This is crazy. You're never getting it. And sometimes it happens. Everything is perfect. You made the perfect house. Your neighbors are perfect. Nobody's banging on your head. Everything is perfect. Then what happens?
You get bored.
Boredom.
You're bored. Can you imagine? Some people, one lady told me, there's sort of confusion going on. So what is the problem? She's saying, that's the problem. There is no problem. You will create a problem when there is no problem. Remember that. In fact, in our family, we quoted the family relation who said, the problem, there is no problem. That is the problem. Okay, that is the problem. There is no problem. So, trying to first comprehend this concept that independent happiness is the best way to do this. At the moment, I am not capable of it. And hence, I need to get a few things. So there's no problem in getting those things. But having got them and trying to make things perfect, I have to still remember the concept of permanent, of independent happiness. Prashant. Psychology says perfectionism is a disease, and Krishna says yoga is karmasu kaushalam. How do we reconcile this? Prashant. Perfectionism is a disease means that I am more concerned with the result than my action. And karmasu kaushalam means perfection in action is sufficient. To which you are saying, no, but perfection in action becomes a psychological disease. Yes, because you're more concerned with the perfection in the action rather than the goal you're trying to reach. So karmasu kaushalam means you're perfect in the action, means you've taken the action and that much perfection as it requires as to reach the goal. But if perfection becomes a goal, perfection of that action, then it's a disease. Naturally, why are you perfecting that action? Okay. So,
Just one question relating to the topic, Hariom ma'am. So it's so interesting. Like academy, I thought it was a perfect place, but even then, right? I think you gave great examples of you don't be happy there because you get bored, even if everything is perfect. Second question is, when do you decide to move on? It's the goal, right? That's it.
why do you bother asking me? You know, I'm a broken record. I'm going to say the same thing over and over again.
Okay, understood.
Same thing.
Understood.
You know how you all put up with me also. I'll never say same thing. What are you saying over and over again for?
Ma'am,
Same
just
thing.
one question. I know this is, so you just mentioned one of your example that one person after being 20 years in the academy decided to move on. So it's I don't know. I was thinking about it. It's a very controversial thing because you've been for 20 years. You decided to move on. Is it because of your? And you told it's very scary, which I agree. So why do you? Was that person right? If that person had a goal, or was it out of anger? It's a very scary situation, right? It can happen to anyone. So just some light on that.
Then how can we talk the soap? Some people will leave for good reasons, some people will leave for bad reasons. Some people will leave because that's the right thing for them to do, and there's no rule that now that you join the ashram, whole life you have to stay there. I mean, there is no rule. That's the whole problem. That is the learning we have to get. That it is so fluid, and therefore you have to be fluid as well. The moment you, what should I say, rigidify yourself, and you say only this is right, only that is right, this is the right thing, and everybody must do it, you are torturing yourself, you're torturing others, and you're creating a mess. So many times, there was getting up at 4 o'clock in the academy was sacrosanct. It was really something that was never open to debate. And you all understand also 4 to 6, you have heard it a billion times. And we have heard this from our teacher a billion times, that is the most sacrosanct thing. That never changes. And one day Swamiji came to class and said, the time for waking up now is 4:15, not 4 o'clock. It was shocking to us. It was unbelievable. It was like, how can you do that? And we did feel, all of us, we felt like that, and then realized that he is the only, later on, of course, we don't realize anything when the teacher tells you. It takes you many years to realize anything. But he's the only one who stays flexible at all times. I mean, he can change anything. That's an amazing thing. His capacity to change anything at any time. Vedanta Treatise was a book that we all thought was the world's best book. Then he took it and he rewrote it. And everybody felt the same. We all loved the first book. No, this is not one. That one was the best book. But, time has passed. He realizes that he has to now frame this in a different way, to say the same things, but he has to phrase it differently now. To have that kind of flexibility, for us, changing Vedanta treatise was like changing the Bhagavad Gita. How will you change it? That is it. But he did. And he threw all the students off because we all knew the old one almost by heart, because, tell which page number something was. Changed it. So it's amazing that kind of fluidity to have in your personality means that you're really not in love with anything, which boils down to you have no sense of ego. Otherwise, you're always falling in love with something and things have to be that way and that way alone. Like he used to always give this example that you are fasting, you have never broken your fast. On a Monday, you have never eaten. You go to an elderly aunt's house. She's 97 years old. This is probably the last time you're going to see her. You haven't seen her for the last 30 years. And this is probably the last time you're going to see her. Because she loves you so much and you have so much care for her. She makes you a laddu made of everything in the world that you believe is unhealthy. Ghee and everything that you call unhealthy, gluten and ghee and everything. And she, with all her love and affection, gives you that laddu on the day you're fasting, will you eat it? I will. Mind of flexibility is no joke. Doesn't matter what you think, you're dealing with the situation as it presents itself to you now and here. No baggage of the past and no hopes of the future.
And probably this is the true meaning of living in present that you said, like that we don't understand correctly many times.
Yes, this is part of it. I mean, all these concepts have so many, it's like light going through a prism, you know, you can see so many colors come out of it. But we must allow it to go through the prism. We are like, no, this is white light. Let it go through the prism. Let the world and you react. And out of that, let beauty come. Okay, so that's it for today. Hari Om.
Hari Om, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Janki ji.
Thank you,
Hari
Janki.
Om, Janki ji.
Thank you, Janki.
Hari Om Janki ji, thank you.
Hari Om.
Thank you.